Okay, guys, we will continue. Are you here? Should we continue?
Yes, sure. Yes, you can.
Okay. So I was talking about intercultural competence and the process of culturalization. So when you come from one region to Tashkent, and after some times you become the part of the Tashkent, we can say that the process of culturalization has completed. Yes. Very rarely it happens that we have to face the technological misunderstandings. So technological misunderstandings in very simple, what can I give a very simple example? A very simple example is the people in the regions, they live in very big houses, very big damah. Yes. So when they come to the Tashkent, they have to live in small flats, in small flat of one room. Maybe they have to share it with other students. So theoretically speaking, the people who live in the big houses, their perception about many things is different from those people who live in small houses. So some sort of technological misunderstanding can impact on our relationships. This also happens in business. People who use technology or technologically advanced, they are much more at advantageous position than the others. So all of these things, they fall into the category of intercultural competence. This is a very interesting example. You have seen this photo at many places, that some people when they shake hand, they they don't shake hand at all. They just stay away and they just make a posture of respect. Some people, they shake hand. The Chinese or Japanese, they bow before each other, like they just turn their back and they just bow in front of the other people. And in some culture, people come into your personal space, like this lady is coming just in front of her face, intervening in her private space. Yes, and it is perfectly fine for them and culturally acceptable. But in different sort of business settings, it might be a problem. uh, without any exaggeration, I will tell you some one interesting story. And when you have to marry, you go to the house of the girl, or the girl, they their parents come to the house of the boy to see them. Yes, before marriage. So in Pakistan, sometimes it happens that you go to see the girl in the arranged marriage. You go to their house and they offer you tea and with biscuits or something else, or sometimes they offer you Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Sprite, and they don't offer you juice. So some families, they consider it very bad. They say that we went to their house and they brought us Coca-Cola, and they didn't bring us chai with biscuits, or they didn't bring us juice. So it's mean that they don't respect us. So that's why we will not marry in that house. Does
Really?
yes, does similar things happen in Uzbekistan? I mean, there are. It is just an example. Many other example. Yes. Uh, like you can say that these things are considered a lot of weightage. Yes. Skora Budit Praznik Ait. Yes, we know about it. After Orozo, there is a festival, Muslim festival of Ait, Eid ul Fitr. You know about it, yes? Don't say you don't know.
Of course.
Hello, can you hear me? No, you cannot hear me.
Just a haircut. No, no, it's all right.
So when the festival comes, you give gifts to each other, and sometimes if the gift, sometimes when the gift is of low worth, it can cause a problem, a cleavage between two families. So this is something which is cultural. But I think that you understood my point. So here are some of the maps which I will show you. This is not just for fun. There are studies behind it, and you can see the complete list of map on this link. This is the world according to the Americans. Americans think that India is full of curry, and their Central Asia's are stans, and Africa is full with AIDS, and Americans themselves they are civilized world. So this is the perception of common American about the world. Similarly, Africa, according to USA, they think that the South Africa is filled with diamonds and there is AIDS in certain part of Africa. So this is something how we assume the countries. Yes, the Asia, according to USA, uh, they think that the Middle Easterns they are terrorists, and India is about all about yoga, and the East, these Burma and Vietnam and these sort of countries, they are sex slaves. Vietnam war, because of the war, it is famous the war. So Kazakhstan is famous because of Borat. So these are some of the stereotypes about Asian people in the minds of Americans. Yes, so there are different categories related to our need, wants, and demands. There is a difference between need, want, and demand. Need is the feel of deprivation of some basic satisfaction. For example, you want to eat food, you want to have a shelter, you want to wear cloth. It is your basic need. Wants are of a specific nature. For example, you want to eat food, it is your need, but you want pulao, it is your want. And demand is that specific products that are backed by an ability and willingness to buy them. You want to buy pulao from a small stall, or you want to buy pulao from a very expensive restaurant. It is your demand. So human needs sometimes depend on the sale of goods. Human demands and human wants, for example, uh, when I was a student, I'm still a student. So I'm talking about like 7 or 8 years ago when I was in a university doing my first degree. I had no money, and I had no money, and I had maybe one or two pairs of shoes, one, two pairs of shoes. This was something which I could afford, and this was something which was my need. Yes, and then my needs were satisfied, and then my wants and demands started increasing. When I started getting money, my desires became bigger and bigger. Yes, and today I may have like 20 pairs of shoes. So so what I'm saying that my needs, my demands, and my wants, they impacted on the sale of goods. Yes, kupli pradaya veshi, because my demands and wants became more, the more products were sold in the market. Okay, so one of the purpose of corporate world is to increase the demands and wants and desires of the people. So more the people will desire, the more the sale of good will happen. Did you understand what I am saying? Are you
Yes, I got
here?
it. Yes, I'm here.
So this is Maslow's hierarchy of need. Have you heard about it? Maslow's hierarchy of need. So Maslow's made a hierarchy which says that first of all, humans want to fulfill their physiological needs, which include air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. When we fulfill their physiological needs,
Yeah,
then we go for our safety needs. Yes, personal security, resources,
yes,
health, property. And when we have this, then we go for love and belonging. We make friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. Our social circle improves. And when we fulfill this, then we go for respect, self-esteem, status. We want to become politician. We want to become powerful. We want to get a higher social status so that you can influence on people. And after that, there is self actualization. You want to become one and one, like you want to become Bill Gates, or you want to become a very rich person, Rockefeller. So have you ever seen these lists? Every year there are lists which says that the world richest man is Mukesh Ambani, the world's richest man is Bill Gates, the world richest man is this. So have you ever thought that why there is a competition among these people? Because they have billions of dollars and they don't need to be in the competition. So basically, they are at the stage of self actualization. Even though they don't need this, but for their satisfaction, according to the Maslow's hierarchy of need, it is their need of self actualization. That's why they want to become the richest person in the world. So this is again the same psychological sketch of Maslow's hierarchy, that how our physiological needs are connected to safety needs and love needs and esteem and self-actualization. So so basic needs, then psychological needs, and then self-fulfillment needs. So basic needs, you must fulfill your basic needs, otherwise you will die. Your psychological needs, if you will not fulfill your psychological needs, you will become mentally absent, mentally disturbed. And self fulfillment means you will not fulfill accomplished if you will not fulfill your self fulfillments or self actualization stage. This is the micro level of self actualization, is macro level. So all of these stages, they have different sorts of products which are sold. For example, you cannot buy a helicopter, yes, but a macro level system or the person who is at a self actualization need, he wants to buy a helicopter. You don't even think about buying a Ferrari, or you don't even think about buying a BMW 2021 model. But there are people who are crazy about these things because they are at the stages of macro level, about the stages of self-esteem and self-actualization. And this is how the people who are in business, they specifically target to the people who are at different stages of their Maslow's hierarchy of need. When you are a student, you don't think about cars, but when you are in profession, you think about cars. Means you have updated your Maslow's hierarchies level. You are at a different stage. That's why your needs are different. So this is also a hierarchy, but it will help you to understand what I am saying. For example, we want to sell weapons. We want to sell weapons. So what are some of the biases? There will be stereotypes. After stereotypes, there will be bullying and name calling. Then there will be discrimination. After discrimination, you will start doing crimes, murder, rapes, and then there will be genocide. Yes. So everything started from different types of stereotypes. So weapons are sold among the people who are promoting violence or who are promoting genocide. So in this hierarchy, if we want to sell weapon, to whom we will sell? We will sell weapons to the people who are pro-violence or pro-genocide. So this is how you find customer for your product. Okay, and there is a connection between poverty and sale of goods. Uh, different products are sold in different economies. Low income countries, they don't import different products which are designed for the high income countries. There is a book which is called as Confession of the Economic Hitman. I have this book on my table. You can see this. I read this book quite often, and this is very interesting book. I strongly suggest you to read this book, Confession of Economic Hitman. And this book tells us that how the international organization like IMF, World Bank, they give loans to different countries. So when they give loans to different countries, the countries' expenditures increases, and when their expenditures increases, these loan giving organizations, they see that this country is unable to pay back their loan. They come to them and then they offer them different packages. For example, Kazakhstan took loan of $2 billion from from China. Now the Chinese know that the Kazakhstan doesn't have $2 billion to pay them back. So they will come to the Kazakh government and they will say them that, okay, you don't have $2 billion, but you have this mine, coal mine, you have this gold mine, you have this natural oil and resources. Just give them to us in return of $2 billion. And this is how we will compensate you. So this is how the big countries operate, the financial system of the global financial organizations they are operating. This book highlights some of these scenarios. So this is called as debt trap diplomacy, that big countries, rich countries give loans to the poor countries. So the poor countries increase their spending, and when the spendings are increased, they are not able to repay their debts. Then they go to them and then they offer them different packages, and then they occupy their natural resources. This is a comparison. This is
And
a
do you have the
what?
do you have electronic version of this book?
You can find it on internet. It is in 2004. It is in 2004. So John Perkinson is the name. John Perkins is the name of the author. But you will write the Confession of Economic Hitman. You can find it very easily on internet. I will see if I have. I will send it to you. The Confession of Economic Hitman. Okay. So this is a society and branded good. When I was poor, I am poor now, right now also I am poor. I didn't care about the brand of the shoes or the clothing which I am wearing, but now I am very conscious about it. For shoes, I prefer branded shoes, hand stitched, maybe handmade. But previously it was not like this, because I was at a different level of Maslow's hierarchy. On left side, you can see a lady is carrying her baby, but on the other side, you can see Bellico's company's pram, which is maybe €1,000 or maybe more expensive than this. So, mama, ana nivu hodit na ulice bez vodeta pram. I don't know what you say it in Russian, yes, because it is against her status. So she needs $1,000 or $2,000 pram so that she can come out on the street with her baby, because it is the matter of their status, yes. So the people who sell these proms, they specifically target to these people who are at a different or higher level of Maslow's hierarchy. But on the left side, you can see a mother who is comfortably and confidently carrying her baby in a shawl, and she doesn't feel any shame in it. So are you following what I am talking about?
Yes, I am.
So buying and selling of goods is related to your biological processes, cognitive processes, and socio-emotional processes. I gave you an example of this. Your socio-emotional impression means mama, she cannot come out on the street because eta ni pathodit ka statusu. So that's why she needs a pram, very expensive pram. Yes, so it is your socio-emotional process, cognitive process, because this mama will not go out on the street patamushta her padrushka has similar prom. So her friends will come with their babies in the park with expensive proms, but she doesn't have, so she will not go outside because it is the part of her subconscious, she's thinking this. And biological process, then she will become angry on her husband. She will sleep on a different bed, and she will hate her husband because her husband is not providing her with this prom. Okay, so this is how you can see that things are interconnected. Now I will give you an example of how the biology, your biological biology is impacted on the sale of good. You know this person, Louis Vuitton, you know, the girls here, you know about these two fleas. They are very expensive, like 3,000 euros. Do you know this brand? Hello? No one is listening.
No,
No, we
we are
are listening.
listening.
So just say hello, hi, how, yes, no. So this is a brand, Louis Vuitton, and this is very expensive. And this person, he made these shoes. And what is the good thing about these shoes? The sole of these shoes is red. Yes, the sole of these shoes is red. Uh, red is hotter than the black. Sorry, there is a mistake. Red is hotter than black. Red has hot energy. Red has hot energy. So uh, you know this henna, the girls, they put it on the hands and feet. The girls put on these on the hand and feet. And you know the palm of the hand and the palm of your feet, for the female, it is a very sensitive part. I mean, for boys, it is very difficult to see the palm of the feet of a girl, or the palm of the feet of palm of the hand. So when a girl marry in our countries in South Asia, they put henna on the hands and on the feet to make it more exotic for the boy. So when the boy look at the palm of the feet or palm of the hand of the girl in red, some biological process happen inside the boy, and it increases his fantasies, you can say. So this person, Louboutin, he cracked this code and he designed these shoes with the palms of the feet are red. So when a boy looks at a girl wearing these long heel shoes with the palm of the shoes in red, he becomes attractive towards the girl. And this is a biological code which this person cracked, and now he's making millions of dollars out of it. So did you understand?
Yeah.
Did you understand this philosophy?
Yes,
I
yes.
understand.
So there is a huge science like chromotherapy, the coloring. Yes, there are, I don't know, maybe billions of shades of your lipsticks or eyelashes, or I don't know what else you put on your face. There is a huge science, and there is a very big industry who plays with your colors, and your colors play with your emotions and with your biology, and based on this, these companies are making money. And then there is a balance of yin and yang, the Chinese concept, the Asian concept. You know, many companies are making products to balance your yin and yang. And then there is aroma and perfume industry. There is a huge billion-dollar industry of different kind of perfumes and scents, and many people are crazy about the smell of the product. Means no matter it is the smell, it should kharasho pakhnit. It is one of the requirements. Yes, so there is a billion-dollar industry of this. So by these things we calculate social value. Previously I told you the social cost. Social value means uh, social value means that how much a society values a product. Uh, for example, In Europe, there are millions of girls who wear hijab, Yes, it is not possible for a company to simply say that no, we will not give any product to the girls who are wearing hijab. So the L'Oreal, you know that they make many beauty products. They came up with this idea that let's target to those ladies who wear hijab, and this is the reclama. You can see that they have specifically targeted to the Muslim girls to sell their products because they cannot isolate Muslim girls just because they are wearing hijab, because they are millions in number Muslim girls, so they specifically targeted to them to sell their product. And similarly, you can see the Nike and now the Adidas, they are making these sports products for Muslim girls, because the Muslim girls, they are also doing sports and they wear hijab. So instead of simply ignoring them, they have come up with the idea to specifically make specific products for them so that they can make money out of them. So this is how the corporate world is working. That the society define if goods are defective or not. So society defines, for example, drinking and smoking is a $1 billion industry, but in many countries, people, they don't like drinking and smoking, and they strongly oppose this industry. Like in Europe, cigarettes are very expensive. It is not possible for a student to buy the branded cigarettes, and they make the self-made cigarettes. They make these cigarettes by themselves. So in many countries, smoking and drinking is considered as perfectly fine, and it is a huge $1 billion industry. And companies, they are targeting to those countries where they have more buyers, and in those countries where they don't have more buyers, they spend less money and more money on the marketing so that more people should buy. And similarly, this shisha is not acceptable in Central Asia. We consider that it is something very bad for youngsters, but in Middle Eastern country, it is the part of the daily life. Everyone is smoking shisha. When I was studying in Lebanon, it became the part of my habit to to smoke shisha every day. Like with every lunch or breakfast, no, not with breakfast, with the lunch and with the dinner, you smoke shisha. Similarly, the smartphone, for some people, it is destroying your relations. And many people, you might have heard that they say that smartphones are destroying our relations. So for some societies, smartphones are not acceptable, and they are considered as a bad product. But social media is now facing a challenge that it is a digital product. Social media is a digital product, but many people think that social media is interfering with building their deeper relationship. Means people are not becoming close, people are going far because of social media. And there are different social groups who are promoting different trends, and based on different trends, different companies make their products. For example, in 60s, you know, these people, rock and roll become very famous. Everyone was wearing rock and roll dressing, rock and roll shoes, jackets, hairstyle, glasses, gadgets, and other types of jewelry, impressed by rock and roll. And companies were making rock and roll products. And these emo culture is now not becoming very famous in our part of the world, but in Asia, in China, in Korea, Japan, in some European countries, these people, emo culture is becoming very famous. And these emos, they have their own brands, their own luxurious items, and people are willing to pay thousands of dollars to buy these types of things, to rebrand, to reshape themselves as emos. And companies who are manufacturing these brands, they are making a lot of money out of it. So what they are targeting, they are targeting their psychology. Yes, they are targeting their psychology. And how they are targeting their psychology? By using technology, different types of data visualization, different types of data processing. They gather the data, and after getting the data, they target specifically to those people who are interested in these sort of products. And you can see that people are willing to pay a lot of money for them. And then there are organizations who are demotivating people to buy things. For example, vegetarianism is a movement. They are opposing to the people who eat myasa, and this is a big threat to the meat industry. You can see there is a protest in Europe. These people are standing on the street and they are portraying themselves as chickens to paint an image that this is something which is very bad for the mankind. So they are doing protest, and this is a huge damage to the meat industry. So many industries are getting a negative impact of what these people are promoting. So if you remember the yesterday, I talked I talked about the idea that consumer rights, prava potrебителя, we think that it is just any prava, but it is very, very, very important right. And I proved it by giving different example that how it impact your biology, your psychology, your physiology, your social economic relation, your status within the family, within the society, within the country, your economics, your family's economics, your country economics. So everything is interconnected with your consumer rights. Everything is connected with what you buy in the market or what is available in the market. For example, now many people are concerned about environmental impact of buying and selling of goods. For example, many people, they are demanding that we should conduct the environmental audit of the company. Means the company conduct the financial audit every year. It tells that what he has done with the finances. Similarly, the companies should tell that what they have done with the environment, so we should conduct the environmental audit of the companies. Then there are these products, GMO free products. Many companies are branding GMO free products, and it is the target to our psychology, that psychologically we want to eat healthy food and healthy vegetable. That's why we think that if we eat GMO free food, then we will be more healthy. And companies who are producing this, they are producing it on a high cost because they know that you will buy these products. Yes. Now I will talk about a little bit technology and sale of good. There are different ways the blockchain is impacting on our buying and selling. In first or in second class, I talked about blockchain, how it is impacting on your life. Means blockchain can track everything. You can install blockchain in every contract can become blockchain, and this is how you can make a more sophisticated contract which have better control on the environment. So ladies and gentlemen, this is I put it in one line, just focus on this, that how the whole things, everything works. uh, you think at your cellular level, on biological level, you feel a need, a desire of something. Then on the cognitive level and psychological level, you make presumptions. For example, what the lady with the pram, she felt something on the biological, psychological, and cognitive level, which impacted her individual behavior. And her individual behavior is demonstrated in her social behavior. And what is the social behavior, or what is the behavior of society? It impact on the state level decisions, and state level decisions impact on your regional level decisions. For example, what Uzbekistan does impact on what Central Asia should do, and what Central Asia should do impact on the global level and universal level. So this is how I can explain better that how you, and as an individual, your need, demands, desires impact on global level. So that's it. Questions and discussions, please. Questions? Questions? No questions?
No.
Hello?
No questions. Thanks.